Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkey with StraightUpTrading.com. It is Wednesday, June 17, 2020, 10 till 8 a.m. or 10 till 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Looking back at yesterday's session, you can see as compared to the value areas and the previous day's ranges, which is the red dash line is the previous day's bell high, that we just kind of flagged inside of the Globex session yesterday. Really nothing went on, but if you look at, day over day, definitely people paying up from the previous day. Looking at what's going on today, again, last night we had a speech from Claudia that was pre-recorded at 6:30 p.m., so that is over. We had CPI this morning at 8:30. We have Powell on the mic at noon, which is a little bit weird for to be with Congress, but that's what's on the schedule for today. And then tomorrow we're going to have Bank of England rates at 7 a.m. with the unemployment, Philly Fed manufacturing at 8:30. And then Friday we're going to have Powell on the mic again at 1 o'clock. But this one looks like it's going to be no big deal. He's going to be talking about virtual discussion on building a resilient workforce during the COVID-19 era. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot coming on that one. So looking at the overnight session, 50.5 points, and just looking over the last 15 trading days and really where we've been and coming, right? So, you can see the ramp up. This was non-farm payroll, the spike up, the hold. I've got it marked at 31.70.75, but anywhere right around 31.70 basically is that support resistance that we should be messing with sooner or later here on the charts. And then you see our fall, losing non-farm payroll, going back below that, and now we're right back to where we were. So on one thing that I said to pay attention to is during Tuesday's session, this bump up here that we had at basically 2 o'clock, I believe it was them saying that they're going to purchase corporate securities, corporate bonds. So we're going to need to pay attention to that level. If that level gets lost, there's going to be a little bit more in the books to the downside, I believe. That's going to be at 30.28 quarter. So quite a ways down. I mean, you're looking at 100 points from here, and I'm saying if we get below there, things are going to start getting ugly. So we have already would have lost 100 points by then. So I'm not saying that's happening today. And so also on the value area charts for the ES, I'm going to start with the ES and maybe I'll edit to other ones. For those of you who load my grids every day, and for those of you who look at the value, instead of having value area high and low as just one particular price point, I'm going to do it as a range because I really think support and resistance is not a single price. It is a range, and I've been calculating this for years, but I really usually use one level or the other. I don't show it as a range. So I'm going to start showing it as a range for a while, see if it bears fruit. It has for the overnight session. So if you've been watching these levels, basically on the overnight session, this gray box, the vertical line is when the opening bell rang yesterday after coming up. So I'll zoom out. So the session basically yesterday opened up here. This is our Globex session. This is when the opening bell rung. These were the levels I gave yesterday, these gray boxes. This blue box down below was value area high for the previous day. And this 30.97 was the point of control. So usually these areas are not that wide, but you can see after we come back in and started going through the value area high resistance zone, fell under it, got back below it. It was just a check off, but then we ended up going down to the second one. You can see the check off the top of value area low, come back up, and you really just kind of just didn't go anywhere from the Globex, right? So what we're watching now is value area high is basically between 31.27 and 31.32. Value area low is basically between 30.99 and 31.02 quarter, with a point of control at 31.15. So 31.15 is below the gap fill. The gap fill, the settlement is 31.18 quarter. High probability that that trades today. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up another chart while we're sitting here going through this. So these are the higher levels of interest that I'm watching on the charts right now. So basically above I have 31.89 to the 3200. Below I have the point of control from yesterday that we're looking at, 31.15, and then I have 30.56 below that. And then we start, really going down to 29.35, etc. So those are the main, bigger targets that I'm looking at, whether we trade up or down. So we're right now back into value we're getting right now. If we look at all the indexes and where they're trading, previous day's high, if we look at the overnight highs, previous day's high, over the previous day's high, over the previous day's high, under the previous day's high. Looking at the value areas, right, in value, above value, in value, in value. And if we look at the Globex lows, we can see just slightly below value area low, slightly below value area low, inside of value, below value area low. So really, when I see a day set up like this, I'm looking for anything potentially to trade from S2 to R2 when we're starting off inside value, inside of the range. And what you should always look for at the very least every day is the previous day's points of control to trade and the gap to fill to the settlement. And then after that happens, we can continue on trend if there is one that's set up. Otherwise, we'll have to see how they play out. Looking at the sequences overnight, we can see for the bulls, right, they're holding the long so far, not breaking the 31.15 quarter. And remember, or 31.1575, and we want to see 31.15 trade, so close enough for government work probably. That target's up to 31.59. So we'll see how that goes. Staying under that point of control and taking out value area low is going to get things a little bit dicier. You can see that the bears really don't have anything going for this session. Same thing for the NASDAQ. The bulls more in control since the session started. And the same thing with the Russell. Bulls in control. So we'll see if they can maintain that control or lose it. So we had really no support resistance for the NASDAQ on the charts between 97.44 and 10,019. So we've kind of filled that area now. So we're hitting our head on here. So we could get some retracement. So there's going to be work to be done, right, by the bulls to get back up above, you might as well call it 10,020 and hold it. And you can see, basically you just use the overnight high is what you would look at for a marker on that. So pressure on the bulls to do that. Otherwise, you're going to just get some downside retracement and some backing and filling. Looking at the Russell. Again, just sitting here going nowhere. You got overhead supply. So getting above 1462.60, it's going to lead up to 1496.30. And then looking at the Dow, and then below you've got 1421 and 1403. Looking at the Dow, this level is a little bit more dicey for me. This basically 26,300. You're flirting with deciding whether you want to stay above it or below it. Now, the bigger level above there is back up to that 27,100 if we get things going to the upside. Otherwise, we start, playing with these little support resistance, 25,750 to 25,462 this week yet. So looking back at all the indexes, putting a wrap on this. So again, watch these points of control, the gap fills. We'll see how the market responds once that's completed. I'm really not, unless they all get above value area high, I'm really not participating in looking for any longs until after these gap fills and points of controls trade for the ES. I hope this helps. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.